Let me know when we're live.
Live.
All right. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the 307 podcast. We're thankful you joined us today. Whether you're joining live or on the audio. Tonight, you've got me, your host.
Tonight.
Chad Rod. Over here in the corner, weighing in at 248. We got the big hornet's nest bumping Cornelio.
God.
What you got hanging from your mic, Corn?
Look, seriously now, all y'all jokers out there, you ultra runners that be out there running every day, and you nasty crossfitters that be out there sweating of the morn, and you just run in there and hop in your car, you know you're getting all that sweat all in your dang truck, in your car, in your Tesla, in your Prius, and your car stinks. Your car does stink.
Good night, Chili.
Y'all's car stinks. So Chili, our man Chili, has designed us some air fresheners. And
inspired by corn.
Inspired by Chili. Designed by Chili.
No,
Brought to you by
designed
corn.
by Chili, inspired by corn.
Okay. They smell good. So, and plus all
That's
y'all
pretty
turds
nice.
that ain't doing nothing. Your car stinks from Burger King, cigarette ashes, and all that other stuff.
Sedentary lifestyle.
Yeah, your sedentary lifestyle makes you stink, makes your vehicle stink.
Look, you ever smelt a creek that stinks?
Yeah. Stagnant creek.
Well, no, my point is, Corn, that the creeks are moving. The pond water's what stinks. When you're sitting around like pond water, that's when you stink.
Stagnant
Why hadn't
creek.
you given me one of those yet?
Well, we're not giving them away. We're selling them.
Why hadn't you sold
You
me
can
one?
place an order
okay.
online and you'll get you one.
Okay.
These aren't giveaway items right here.
Finish your intro.
And over here in the left corner, weighing in at 119, you got the Pope, Stick Man, Chili.
Chili has been losing weight.
Yeah, what's causing that?
Well, you told me earlier you wasn't hardly eating nothing.
I've been eating less.
For why?
It's just kind of happened.
Hmm.
Not trying to. Just not eating as much.
It's showing.
What's up, Chili?
Golly. How you doing? I'm eating this Werther's right now.
You got some news for us today, too, don't you?
That's news to me.
About that foot race?
Oh, yeah.
We're going around the horn.
Well,
Corn never did tell us where we could get them air fresheners at.
Look,
I guess
the people know.
Amazon
The
or
people
something?
know.
We
The
get them
people
off
know.
Amazon.
The people know. Go down to your flea market
Tech
over
guy,
by your house.
Tech guy, put a link in the comments.
yeah, you got one job.
You got one job, you daggone turd.
Invalid.
Let's hear what you got to say.
Well, look, man, everyone's always asking about the race and is it in November? Is it in February? Are we going to have one again? Is it going to be the same? Is it going to be on private land like you've thrown out before? Well, I can't tell you about next year, but in the year 2024, we are going to have a race
This year?
this year, November
Good night.
16th. November
Best be training up.
16th.
Dang.
So a lot of people seem very confused if you have a ultra or have a trail race, may not be an ultra, that's timed and not a set distance. Look, man, we've got a nice course set out on private land. It's called the Mountain Mama Farms Classic. You got a 4-hour option and an 8-hour option. If you don't understand that, the distance is up to you. That's strictly up to you. The time, well, technically the time's up to you. If you don't want to run for 4 hours, you don't have to. You've got 2 options to sign up, 4-hour and 8-hour. Basically, that time limit just means we're not going to let you run past 8 hours. That's the cutoff. It's as much distance as you can get in that time on our course, whether you pick the 4-hour option or the 8-hour option. So it's really quite simple, in my opinion.
A timed event is different because there's nothing you can do to make it go by any faster.
Yeah, it is what it is.
And so when you run a set distance, you say, "Oh, if I run faster, move
Mhm.
faster, I can get this over with faster."
You can
But
on
when
this.
you're running for time, you bound by time.
Yep. And we're going to let the course be a surprise for you, but it's on private land. Go ahead and tell you, no one believes this when we say it, but it is not a hilly, mountainous race. It's not. It's more of a cross country style course. It made me reminisce. Some grass, some packed dirt, some good forest trail running.
That's a
So-
pretty piece of land too.
It really is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a cross country style race. It should be fast. You should be able to get a big distance in 4 and 8 hours for yourself if you so choose. And look, man, if you want to come out and walk for 4 hours or hike for 8 hours, that's fine. That's fine. If you want to sign up for the 8 hour or the 4 and just hike for 2 hours and go get you a taco at a food truck and then go back and hike you an hour, that's fine.
Well, these events, these races that we've done in the past, they're good place to go push and try yourself, test yourself. But I enjoy having everybody there.
Yeah.
Just the community of it.
Yep.
To me, it is about the race, but I do enjoy having everybody in one spot and being able to talk to a bunch of different people. A lot of people we don't get to meet normally that listen to the podcast or whatever. You can come out and hang out, support, bring your kids, bring your family. I mean, everybody just has a good time. So they're a lot of fun to be at. They really are. I always enjoy them. And I'll get out there. I will do a little bit of running.
Yeah, the whole team will be out there this time. We'll probably all run a little bit.
Yeah. You gonna run, Corn?
Yeah, I'm gonna run attach.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run a lap or two.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be big.
Where can they sign up for that, Chili?
Ultra sign up. We're gonna
Can you post a link off of that?
No, I cannot.
Okay.
No. You can find it though, Bubba.
Well, talk for a minute. I'll
can find it, Bubba.
Talk for a minute.
So yeah, ultra sign up. I'm doing 2 jobs at once right now. So
You're doing good, Bubba.
ultra sign up is where all the ultras are hosted to people unfamiliar with races. All of our ultra runners will know what we're talking about here and be very familiar with that, or if you've raced with us before. But I hope a lot of people in the 307 community that's never done a race or never thought they would do a race, or maybe still don't think they do a race, will come out and be a part of this and just do what they can in the time. So it's very simple registration. We'll put the link in. We'll pin it to the top of the comments here. It's ultrasignup.com, Mountain Mama Farms Classic. Really, once again, no one believes us when we say it, but this truly is a great event, great race to just come out and be a part of the 3 of 7 community and basically run as much as you want or hike as much as you want. That's totally up to you. There's no distance requirement. If you finish one lap, then you're on the board. So the loop is not entirely set. We may make a few tweaks, but it's going to be roughly 4 miles. So if you can finish a 4-mile loop, then there you go.
There's going to be some gifts for the winners of each one, right?
Yeah.
What, you gonna do something?
Chili said he was going to do something if it sells out.
Hold on. You're getting ahead of ourselves here. Yeah, there's going to be a big prize if you win the 4 or the 8 hour. Big prize. That's a big deal. We like winners. You ain't got to try to be a winner. That's fine. You can come out and do whatever, do your thing. But yeah, it pays to be a winner. So you definitely gonna want to win this race. And speaking of, we got a lot of spots available. We're trying to make this a big event. You know what I'm saying? It ain't just 50 people we want there. We want hundreds. So we got to have a cap on it. But the deal is if it sells out, we're going to do something. Ain't that right, Corn?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're going to do something if it sells out.
What we're going to do?
Well, I think you need to put a time frame on it because they like to wait till the last minute, the last couple of weeks to be signing up.
Well, so what, by November 1st?
Do you think that's good? You in the ultra world, Chili.
Well,
I'm not an ultra man.
If it
like
sells
you.
out, if it sells out, we'll do something. You said we'll do something.
Well, we're going to do it. We're going to do it, by golly.
All right.
Well, the link's in the comments, pinned to the top, and we'll put a link in the show notes. So if you guys, I know a lot of y'all are handicapped and you're not able to search the name of the race in Google and find it. And so we'll do that part for you if you'll come out and run. So it's there. It's going to be a good time, and it's going to be big.
Yeah, it's going to be real
It's
big.
going to be real big. So, well, this morning we all met up at the range. Chili, the other day, he's had a lifelong dream of being a patrol officer, and so he started practicing, training, and Cornbread. You know, he's a veteran law enforcement officer, and he walked him through the pistol qualification course, and it was quite sad. We'll have a video coming out about that y'all can watch. Pretty funny. But Chili said, let's go to the range on Wednesday. And I thought, well, all right, this is going to be rough, but we'll do it, I guess, because you need it. You need it. So we went out there, and to my surprise, I think Chili had been practicing dry firing or something, because I thought he shot quite well. Did you, Corn?
I think he shot really good.
Yeah?
Shot good. Shot better than me.
Well, no, you beat him. You was always faster on the time, although you looked like a darn sloth moving in between them targets.
Why do you
talking
Why
about?
do you?
You wouldn't. There's no urgency about your movement.
If I beat him
between.
in time and I look like a sloth, what did he look like?
It was a classic example.
What
of
is something really skinny that's slow?
This was a classic example of the tortoise and the hare. You just moved slow and methodically, and Chili was real sporadic with his movement. He would take a step and shoot, and stand there and do his mag change. All his movements were real fast, but his shooting was real slow, but he was accurate. So he's getting there.
I was more accurate than you today. I think we can all agree on that.
On the last one, I missed 2. You missed 1.
Yeah, and do you remember the drill that you came up with and the debacle on the tree?
Well, we both DNF'd it.
Oh, yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, I mean, both of us were bad. Like,
I ain't joning. I said you did really well. Why are you attacking me? Why are you attacking me?
Because you did better than me, Corn. The fact is, you shot faster. I just shot more accurate.
I disagree. I think you did really well, Chili.
Well,
I think you did really well.
Well, Corn.
He did good, Blake.
Yeah.
You're right, Bubba.
Did you shoot faster than me on that last drill?
By 1 second.
How?
I just did by 1 second. And I missed 2. I missed the first 2.
When you did it versus when he did it, there was a 1 second difference.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
1 second. I think what it is, when you would, I noticed every time you would shoot something close, you did your legs like this.
Yeah, I know.
You would take like a split second to do that with your legs.
It's odd.
And you weren't doing that, and so that's where the time came from.
I ain't trying to spread my leg. I'm just working, brother.
Isn't that odd? I don't know why
I'm just working.
That's odd. I did do that.
Yeah. There you go.
So, well, good job today. You guys get out and do some shooting. Quit sucking like Chili. He's getting better. Y'all gonna do a tactical games this year, ain't you? Or next year?
Well, we need to. Yeah, it ain't gonna be this year.
You gonna bring you gonna bring the speed. I'm gonna bring the accuracy.
You're gonna have to bring the speed.
Corn, you're faster than me today.
Yeah,
there was a drill you did
on
like
the physical side of things, like the running and all that. If I don't know how them team stuff goes, but you gonna have to be the speed freak on all that.
So can I just stop practicing shooting and I just carry the load of the fitness and you do the shooting?
No, you practice shooting and your level will come up, right? And then I'll practice fitness and my level will come up and we'll just overlap them at a happy medium.
So we'll both be about the same athlete by the time we get there.
I guess in accordance with the tactical games, yeah.
Well, that'll be good.
But overall athlete, you still smoking me in just about everything.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, that was fun, Chili. You're getting better. Corn, you're getting better too. The last time you shot
good today.
I mean, you floundered around that it was. I didn't know when Chili said I want to do range training. I thought, well, we'll do it. But last time I at least had Chad here. We need like a 2 instructor to 1 student ratio when you guys are out there, according to the last Now you got to admit that you was slinging stuff. I
no,
mean,
you
just,
sound ridiculous
you
now.
was
Two
just pulling
instructors to what?
just
Listen. You're right. But you're failing to notice the common denominator. When
The
Chad
rifle?
is on the range, it's a total different experience.
Oh, okay.
It's a Chad doesn't make me nor Chili shoot bad.
It makes you nervous.
No, he doesn't. I wouldn't say that he makes me nervous. It's way different dynamic. You know what I mean? He's getting ill at the drop of a hat.
Who runs a better range?
You
think?
do.
You run a better
it's
range.
more. It's concise.
The last time I shot, Chad
And-
wasn't here either, and it was pathetic. It ain't
Yeah.
got nothing to do with Chad.
Listen. You would have shot. Well, I don't want to give the video away, but you shot just right under what you should have been shooting. There was just a few.
What are you talking about?
So last time, I think since I've been shooting with you, that the majority of what goes on with Chili is equipment stuff. Like
It's true.
you're all the time finagling with stuff. You didn't finagle with nothing today. One time you forgot to load the pistol at the high ready,
Yeah.
and that was it. So you didn't have any of that worry on you at all.
Yeah.
Period. And you was able to just concentrate on shooting 100%. When Chad's on the range, there's all kinds of different manipulations and equipment stuff and this and that and that and this.
Yeah, I've just noticed y'all ain't quite ready for that, and so we start with a
Ready for
minor
what?
minor weapon manipulation. We're not shooting.
Like you've not even raised a point.
I'm glad y'all didn't bring your rifles today. That would have been too much.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I
you
think
shot good. Good job. We'll just leave it at that. Cause I mean, we'll bring the rifles out next time.
Okay, Bubba. Thank
Bring
you.
the rifles out next time. So, yep. Well, I don't like to drag things out quite as long as other people. So listen, if
Enough
y'all
said. We'll see y'all later.
if y'all are listening, we appreciate you tuning in.
It's just a pre-show.
No, did y'all listen to my resurrected message this weekend?
I did.
Did you, Chili?
I did.
Why don't you ever get on resurrected when I teach? You always get on there when Chad teaches, but
No, I
never when
don't.
I teach.
No, I don't.
You told me the other day, I listened to that message you did the other night, Bubba. That was good. That was good. You ain't never told me that.
Look,
You ought to
man,
support Blake too, Chili.
You don't like the way I teach or something?
y'all are so weird.
Huh?
I think you do a good job. You spoke too long the other night.
You said you wasn't on there.
I mean, you drug that one out, Bubba.
Why don't you ever get on and support me? It hinders me in the middle of my talk when
When you realize that?
I think about it a lot.
What,
Well.
talking too much or Chili not being on
Him
there?
not being on there to support me.
Yeah.
I always know you're on there, but why don't you ever chime in on anything, Corn?
I just ain't been led to, Bubba.
Really?
Yeah.
This ain't nothing. You ain't had no thoughts.
Oh, I've had plenty of thoughts.
Just nothing
Yeah.
you thought.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I asked is because I think, and maybe that's what we should talk about today:
Okay.
Talk about what?
forgiveness.
You forgiving us for not chiming in?
No, that's what my talk was about on Patreon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know it was about forgiveness.
No, you didn't know that.
I did too. Guess what? You also talked about forgiveness. You gonna talk about what made you mad
When
recently?
that video?
Yeah,
Yeah, I will.
go ahead.
Yeah. So the other day, I was looking on. Well, I've started to get back on Instagram a little bit, but I'll probably quit that. But I was on it or Facebook and had been scrolling through, looking at them videos on there, and I saw one video of this guy, and I don't know his name, but I don't know if maybe he's the pastor of a church or he's just some speaker at this church, and he's up there on the stage, and he begins to say that he is only in love with one stripper, and he likens Jesus to a stripper, and he says that he got butt naked on the cross and took off glory, and absolutely filthy. Like, it just makes me sick for me to even say it myself, quoting the guy. And so I began to think about in the Old Testament, when they would read scripture and they would come across the name of the God of Israel, our God, Yahweh, that they wouldn't even say the name because they had such respect and reverence for God that they would use a different name. Adonai was the name that they would use. And some people might hear that guy's talk and they might say, "Well, I kind of get what he's saying," but it's not even close. It's the disrespect that he's giving God by likening him to something with such filth. And initially I was, well, and maybe rightfully so, pretty mad about it. But then I thought, these people, I thought about Jesus when he was on the cross, basically. In Luke, it says that when he was up on the cross after he had been beaten and mocked, and he said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." And when I hear that, I think it takes all excuses away from us to not forgive somebody. What do you think? What do y'all think?
Well, I go right back to what you just said about being angry. Maybe this is sidetracking the conversation. Do you think it's wrong that you got angry about that?
No, I don't think it was wrong. No,
Seems
I
like
don't
there'd be
think
a problem
feeling-
if you didn't.
I don't think feeling that emotion is wrong. I think what you do with it could be wrong.
Yeah.
What the way what you do with that, and that's any emotion when you experience it. Do you still act in what is truth
Mhm.
and what is right, or do you act in basically in your flesh and what you want to do because you experience that emotion?
Yeah, but then you asked, is it ever right to not forgive something?
Yeah, I mean that could be one question. Um, I would say no. I would say you should always forgive. I'm not saying that's easy to do,
Mm-hmm.
but some people would say, "Well, you don't know what they've done to me. You don't
Yeah.
know how they treated me or what they took from me or what they said to me."
So your anger was out of you feeling that he was mocking Jesus, your Savior.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't that he did something directly to you.
No, I mean, I don't know the guy.
Yeah, so it makes me think too. So just an example, if Chili was walking down the street and some guy rode by and hit him in the back of the head with a grapefruit, because Chili
What is this, Napoleon Dynamite?
because Chili's my buddy, that would tick me off, and
Yeah.
I'd want to go, confront the dude too. But if someone else was walking down the street and got hit, somebody walked up and was like, "Man, I was walking down the street. I don't even know this person. I get somebody hit me in the back of the head with a grapefruit." Probably wouldn't make me mad at all.
It'd make me mad that somebody did that
to someone else.
I would be
And I'm
mad.
not saying it's right that I wouldn't
Yeah.
get mad or it wouldn't. I'd probably
Right.
be like, "Dang, man, are you serious?"
Uh-huh.
And then that'd probably be about it. It interests me. It just made me think, like, and I'm not saying you did anything wrong at all by getting upset. It makes perfect sense to me. Is a lot of times like, when is someone actually sinning against you,
Mhm.
and when are we actually getting upset for no reason at all? I'm
Yeah.
not saying that was the case in Port. Like, it makes a bunch of sense. Just like that video your daddy was showing.
Right.
That was ticking me off
Yeah.
earlier. So like a lot of times the forgiveness, you have to do it because of your reaction
Yeah.
and not necessarily the person who hit Chili in the back of the head with a grapefruit didn't do nothing to me
Right.
at all.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
did it to Chili, but my reaction is what's causing me to
Mhm.
have to forgive
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's eating my goat.
Yep.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. It makes
So-
sense.
So I think a lot of people, and I think, but I also think people stretch that too, to where they have to come up with something that a person does just because of their anger and that person may not have really even done anything to them.
Yeah.
It's your anger that's causing somebody accidentally rear ends you. It's an accident.
Right.
They didn't mean to damage your property.
Yeah.
But and Lord forbid they killed your dog while they did it. They hit you, killed your dog. You're going to be upset.
Yeah.
They didn't say, "Oh, check, there's Blake out right there. I've been trying to rear end him. Let me go ahead and do it." Now your dog's dead. You're upset at them. They didn't intentionally do it.
Yeah.
But you're still going to be mad that your car's burnt and your dog's dead. You're still going to I'd still have to forgive them, but they didn't really do nothing to me on purpose. It was just an accident.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying there is that he didn't do, the guy didn't do anything directly to me or anybody else, but it was to God. Like if you were to picture yourself as being an observer there when Jesus was on the cross, what would you like? That person needs forgiveness, not like my forgiveness. It's like, what is your heart toward them? And is your heart toward them like, the dude needs to die, whatever the case is, or is your heart toward them prayer? Is it like, the dude's an enemy of yours at that point? He's an enemy of God. He's an enemy of yours. He's talking about God that way. He's an enemy of yours. And what is your heart? Is it God forgive them for they know not what they do, or God strike them down with lightning, which, like you look at some of the Old Testament stuff and, we can read, I'll read you this. Well, I'll read it in a little bit, but that's kind of the question. It starts with what is your heart towards the person, but then you go a step further and kind of maybe branching off of that a little bit is the struggle of forgiveness when people do you wrong that aren't due any sort of credit or any sort of when somebody wrongs you, they should be wronged back is the way you want justice. You want to see justice done. And a lot of people are like that. Maybe most people are. Not that I'm saying I'm not for justice, because there has to be government and things in order for peace to be, to exist. So people have to submit and obey, and there has to be government and police and things like that in order to keep the peace. I'm talking more relational with your family, with friends, or even people that aren't your friends. And it's a really hard thing to do. And, when I was on Resurrected teaching, I had looked in the Sermon on the Mount as I was using some things from the Sermon on the Mount to see what Jesus says about these things. And I'll read it all, I'll just read the scripture here and I'll get you guys' thoughts on it. But this is Matthew 5, starting in 33. Well, actually, let's start in 40. If anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, let him take your coat also. Whoever forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2. And we'll even back up to 38. So back up. You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. So we'll start there. You've heard it said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. And Jesus is quoting Old Testament scripture there, which prohibited uneven retribution. So an eye for you do me wrong, then I'm going to do you take my eye out, I take your eye out. I'm not going to take your eye and your leg. It's an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. He's saying you've heard that taught, and that was to prevent uneven retribution. And so he takes it a step further and he says, but I say to you, do not resist an evil person, but whoever slaps you on the right cheek, turn the other to him also. That's a hard thing. That's a hard thing to take.
Oh yeah.
Because he's saying he's not only saying, Dad, blast, unplugged your camera.
Good night.
Whose camera, Blake? Dude, you had one job. I mean, you had one job. The whole thing's out. Are we even recording anymore?
Are you keeping up with those super chats, Bubba?
How many do you see?
I don't know. You're doing it.
All right, we're back. We're back. We had a mishap there. That's what Chad did to
turn the
that
other cheek.
episode. But yeah, we're back. So he's not only saying don't repay what's even, and he's not saying don't do anything. What he's saying is actually repay good for evil. And we see that in scripture later on. What do y'all think about that? About that scripture there?
Yeah, I think practically that is like in the practical sense, that is really hard to do. If you was to be slapped backhanded, you're going to feel big time disrespected. Practically. Turning the other cheek, that's, if you're at the grocery store and whatever happens, you step on somebody's heel on accident and it just really ticks that joker off and he turns around and jumps in your soup bowl and just starts pitching a fit. What are you going to do?
Well, I think for me, I think that Jesus is talking not about just letting someone pummel you, right?
Mhm.
If someone's
Right.
attacking you, don't just stand there and let them beat you up. I don't think he's talking about this in the specific sense of that. What I think he's getting at is that, like, if you look up, even in today's world, if somebody backhands somebody, that's like dominating them, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
that's like like, that's not like you're just going to go up and punch somebody. Backhanding is dominating. And you see, it says the right cheek, and most people are right-handed. So for me to hit you on the right cheek, I'm going to have to use the back of my hand, right? Or my left hand. But if I'm right-handed, I'm going to try to hit you with my right hand. And he says, turn the other cheek, which is your left side, right hand. And so I was doing some reading on this, and there's some thought that people are saying that what Jesus is teaching is that if somebody does that to you and is demeaning you or putting you down, to turn to them the left cheek and make them treat you as an equal. So if you're going to hit someone on the left cheek, you're going to hit them square up, and you're basically asserting your humanity on them. And when I thought about it that way, I thought it makes more sense, because I know that Jesus doesn't stand for you to just get there and be beaten up. I mean, someone could kill you. He's not saying lay down and let somebody kill you, because in other areas of the Bible, he does say that love always protects. And I think there's many cases can be made for self-defense, right? Fighting against evil that's trying to hurt or kill good. And so that's not what he's saying here. And if we move on through this, we see in other examples that is, in fact, what he's talking about. Did you have anything on that, Chili, before we move on?
No, not really more than that. It's, it also, it just makes me think, I guess there's different types of forgiveness too. Like you're talking about relational forgiveness, and the forgiveness that God gives us for our sins. I mean, that's talking about forgiven in the way that the penalty is paid.
Mm-hmm.
But is that really the same forgiveness like we can't give that to others?
Yeah.
Like we don't even, like we're not even capable of that forgiveness. So what is exactly the forgiveness we're supposed to display or offer if we're hit in the back of the head with a grapefruit?
Yeah.
Like Corn says, like what even are we supposed to do? Because we're not supposed to forgive them of that sin in the way that God does, like, because we can't, but we're supposed to forgive in what way? Like, let it go? Like, what does it look like what we're supposed to do?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think as far as what we are supposed to do,
like, what are we doing that's forgiving? Like, how do we forgive?
I think it's about, again, well, actually, I know, because this is what the Bible is it's the posture of your heart toward the person. So it's a change that has to be made inward on your behalf due to what the person has done to you. Because to your point, Chili, you're talking about we can't forgive sins. Romans 12:17 and reading on says, never pay back evil for evil to anyone. Respect what is right in the sight of all men. If possible, so far as it depends on you, be at peace with all men. Never take your own revenge, beloved, but leave room for the wrath of God. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. And so then it tells us how to treat him. If your enemy's hungry, feed him. If he's thirsty, give him a drink. And so doing, you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. So we see in that scripture that the Lord is saying, I will repay what is due, and the forgiveness that we get in the sense of we have sinned against God and we can no longer be in his presence or a part of him. That can only be covered by the blood of Jesus and forgiveness of us. So I see what you're saying. Like we can't give that to other people. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think it's about the condition of your heart, to where when Corn slaps me in the face, you know, metaphorically, then what do I do? Like, do I slap him back, or do I just stand there and talk to him? Like what is the, in that specific, I don't think physical aggression and contact is a good example to use. It's a great metaphor that Jesus used, but I personally don't feel like he is speaking literal here because of the other examples. There's another one where it says if one man makes you go a mile with him, go two. And apparently in the culture then, it was permissible or legal for a Roman soldier to require you to carry their gear for up to 1 mile. They could just be walking down the road and say, hey, Chili, you about to tote my pack for a mile. Yeah. And there ain't nothing you can do about it. And Jesus is saying, well, if they're going to do that, then go ahead and carry it the 2nd mile voluntarily. So like, yeah, he's saying that's really it's not your load. It's not your deal. But if they're going to make you do that, then go ahead and go the 2nd mile with them and show them. I mean, these are ways that we can show the love of God, right, to other people so that they will in hope turn to God. But it's also about our heart. So I think it's twofold.
Well, let's use an example then of someone stole something from you, or they owe you money, they're in debt to you. Are you supposed to just flat out forgive that anytime someone goes into debt to you?
Well, I'll give you an example of mine.
Yeah.
One time, I told this on Resurrected too. One time I was looking for a blazer, like old K5 blazer, like early 80s model. And I was looking on the marketplace, Facebook marketplace, and I found one, and it wasn't for a steal, but it was a nice ride. And it was on the low side of average. And so I thought, all right. So I messaged the guy, and it had just been posted. He's like, I'm getting a lot of response to it right now, but I'm I'm not committed to anybody yet. And he said, you were one of the first to reach out. If you want to give me a deposit, then I'll hold it and let you come look at it. And if you want it, great. If you don't, I'll give you your money back. And I was like, I don't really know this guy. So I said, well, let me get your number and I'll call and talk to you. And he gave me his number. I called and talked to him. He seemed legit. So I gave the guy the money. He gave us the address, and it's like an hour and a half away from here. So me and Dad rode out there, and we pull up, and there's no blazer at the address. And I was like, maybe it's in the garage or something, And some people pull up to the house while we're there, and they're like, no, we're not selling a blazer here. And I was like, well, he got me. So I text the guy, hey, did you send the wrong address? Nothing. Called him, nothing. He had blocked my number from calls, but I could still get text to him. And he just never responded. So we were like, oh, well, all right. So we go home, and, I'm pretty ill. And dad, he's just, kind of.
Oh, he's mad.
He's mad. And he's kind of like, that's bull crap, man. They ought to have his hand cut off. And, which, I was pretty mad too. And we got back. I had typed up a couple messages I was going to send the guy. I never sent them. And then we get back, and I kind of calmed down or whatever. And I thought, well, I mean, my question to myself was, how would Jesus have me handle this situation? And so, I mean, I hate even telling this publicly because I don't want people to think I'm telling this for anything about myself. It's an example, right? And so I sent the guy a message, and I said, hey man, look, I know you got me. Like, you scammed me, took my money. And I said, I'm really I'm sorry that you're in a spot that you have to do that. to get money. Like, I wish that you could have enough or get something, somewhere else. And I said, but I just let you know, I forgive you. And in fact, if you need more money, just let me know. And I've sent him like 5 or 6 other messages, like, hey, what's going, no response. And he responds back to me and he's like, man, I can't even keep your money now if this is going to be your response. And he said, I'm going to send you your money back and I'm going to give you a little bit more for gas and your time and stuff. And I said, no, just keep, like I said, keep the money, just keep the money. Don't worry about it. You can have it. And the guy's like, oh man, I even feel worse than I did initially now. And not that I'm doing this to heap burning coals on his head, but, and whether I could trust the guy or not, I don't know. He'd already lied to me once. Maybe he's just playing it out. Maybe so. And many of you watching this or listening to this probably think, oh, you're an idiot, man. Like, get your money back. But I was able to share the gospel with the guy. Like, I had his ear. He was listening and responding. So I was able to share the gospel with the guy, not only just through text and, writing it out to him, but also just through my actions. And, whether he meant it or not, I don't know, but it seemed to really touch him. And he was like, I do realize that I'm doing wrong. I'm not going to do this anymore. I do realize that I need to read my Bible, whatever it is that he was like, something to those effect. Like, I need to stop doing the things that I'm doing. And again, like, a lot of you are probably thinking, oh, well, he's just taking advantage of you and maybe he is. But the fact of the matter is I was able to put that on display to this guy. And who knows, maybe one day in his life, maybe whoever he was in cahoots with doing this, maybe it affected them. I don't know. All I know is that that's what Jesus tells me to do. So I'm going to do it. And I don't know if it works on him, if he lied. And maybe you think I'm an idiot for doing it, but I don't really care because the only truth that I know is what is in the scriptures. Anything else that makes sense, anything that's logical, anything that is 1 + 1 = 2, it might make sense, but it doesn't mean that it's the truth. It doesn't mean that it is the right thing to do. And I know that Jesus says, don't repay evil with evil, but repay evil with good. And through the examples in the Sermon on the Mount, he's saying, return to them more good than the evil that they give you. So don't even repay evil for evil. Don't do nothing, but actually give more good than the evil that was done to you. Don't just give them your tunic if they're trying to take it. Go ahead and give them your shirt too. Don't just go the mile and not complain. Go the second mile with them. Don't just, turn around or hit them back when they hit you. Offer them up the other cheek. And what does that do? It puts God on display for not only that person, but for everybody else that's there to witness it. And so that's an example. I mean, that's a long explanation, but that is my example. I mean, the question could be, if every time somebody steals from you, do you just let them steal from you?
Yeah.
And I can't find in scripture anywhere that it tells, like, it just says, let God repay. It's like, by you taking it into your own hands, is it a way of saying, like, I don't think God's going to really make this right, so I got to get my money back? I don't, like, there has to be law and order still, right? So, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know where I stand on that, but I do know that what Jesus tells us to do is an extremely radical way to react. Like, that's radical. But it doesn't look anything, nobody, 95% of the people listening to this and watching this are going to say, you are an idiot for doing that. And there's no way I would ever do that. And it was hard to do. Like, my initial response was not to do that. I'm not saying that I responded, oh, I'm going to repay this guy good for evil. That wasn't it. But
and I'll just be straight up with it. You know what would make that real hard to do? When you were hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Financially or whatever. Like, you want to talk about real hard to do it then.
When you already didn't have the money in the first place.
Right. Like, that makes it real hard. Yeah. That's real radical.
Yeah.
Because some people could say, oh, not that you're a billionaire, but obviously, but someone's like a billionaire. You go, well, that ain't no big deal for them to do that. That wasn't nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But it don't say turn the other cheek or whatever if you're rich.
Yeah, as long as you're taken care of.
Right. It says do it.
Yeah.
So that's when it really gets tough.
Mm-hmm.
But also I think about, you talking about the posture of your heart and everything, and when you talked about your response to that, you even said, well, yeah, at first you were pissed
Right.
and mad and didn't want to do that and didn't even think to do that. But like, is that a problem? Does that mean you didn't forgive them? Or did you experience that and then go, but this is how I'm going to react? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like your heart's initial reaction was to get mad at that, which
Yeah.
I don't know whose wouldn't. Maybe somebody's wouldn't. Mine would. But then you didn't choose to, lash out at the dude.
Right. No, I mean, I would say my initial response was unforgiveness. My initial response to the guy was like, no, I'm not going to forgive
Because
you.
you didn't immediately feel that way.
Yeah.
How you ended up reacting.
But I don't think that is the issue that Jesus is getting at here, because at the time, you could go down a different trail with this, but at the time, like, yes, if you were to pull me out of that situation and say, is reacting this way wrong? I would say, yes, you shouldn't react that way. But in the moment, I did not think what I was doing was wrong. But at the point that I had slowed down,
Yeah.
got rid of those emotions that cloud your mind and your judgment, and I said, all right, now let me think about this. How should I actually respond? Then at that point, I knew what was right and what was wrong. And did I choose forgive? And there's times I have not chosen forgiveness, right? I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. But I decided to choose right this time and didn't choose unforgiveness. And sometimes, you know what? You're going to have to get up day after day after day after day and forgive the same person for the same thing, because it's that bad. Like stealing from you, some people that just really gets their goat. And I mean, one of them, I'm that way too. I can't stand for somebody who steals. But there's a lot worse thing. What if someone did something to your kid?
Yeah.
Or your spouse, even killed them?
Yeah.
I mean, that's tough. That's real tough.
Yeah.
To repay that evil with good. I mean,
Yeah.
and these things that we bring up, even, I want to look in the scripture and be like, is there somewhere else that Jesus says that I don't have to do it in this case? Like somebody just killed my kid. Is there somewhere that I can justify retribution to this case?
Well,
and I don't want to say yes there is or no there isn't, but the things that Jesus calls us to are radical.
Yeah. 100%. It's interesting because the posture of your heart, I think everyone's posture of their heart can be different, especially when it comes to material things, even like money. You let somebody borrow money. If I let someone borrow money, not bragging, it's never in the expectation of ever getting it back. It's just, all right, I'll let you borrow whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention it. You pay it back when you pay it back. Or, you think, well, if somebody was outside of my house trying to steal my truck, would I shoot them to stop them? I'm pretty sure I wouldn't shoot them. I would go out there and physically confront them to keep them from doing it. But I also think too, that in the practical sense, I know we've sort of danced around that. I think it is, though I do believe he is talking exactly what we're talking about. But I also believe that he's talking about if you are struck too. I think because I have experienced forgiveness from someone I did that to. And I'll tell the story real quick. Back when me and Chad was coon hunting a bunch, I had a dog. And the dog acted up one night, run a track backwards, ticked me off. So I gave the dog to Chad. Chad was like 14 years old, I think. And well, a buddy of mine who had helped me get that dog sort of wanted to go in halfers with me on that dog anyhow. So it ticked him off that I gave the dog to Chad. And I'd run into him a day or two later at the convenience store, and things got heated over the dog. So I popped him in the forehead. He put his finger in my face. So I just come over top of his hand and just busted him in the forehead. Should have never done that. I expected it to be a show enough drag out fight. Dude didn't do anything. 2 or 3 days I talked to him. He acted like nothing had happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey man, I'm sorry for hitting. He's like, don't worry about it, dude. I forgive you. I I was floored, son.
Yeah.
I was expecting to have a year-long fuss and fight.
Yeah.
And it never happened. And just hearing that just knocked me back on my heels. So I think it's all in all the same. But I think I personally, like you were saying, if something happened to your family, I don't know if anyone's posture of their heart could be there, especially at the beginning,
Yeah.
to forgive right off the rip.
Yeah.
Me personally, like I think I'm there. I feel like I'm there with, anything that's monetary of value, any materialistic item, a vehicle,
Yeah.
somebody burns your house down, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or you get sued. I mean, that's another thing. People sue people left and right for just
Right.
anything,
Yeah.
and could take your livelihood away.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
How do you? I mean, could just teetotal mess up everything you've worked for all your life? I'm not going to say I'm there to not be ticked about that.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be a tough one too.
Yeah. Yeah. It would.
It's nothing like losing one of your family members, somebody doing whatever. But
The interesting thing, even too about the example you shared at the gas station was that, you may not know now and didn't know then, and the guy who even knows what his heart behind that was, but his heart behind not retaliating could have been fear, like maybe he just didn't want to fight,
yeah,
whatever. But the action, he responded in a manner that Jesus said to respond, and it
Yeah.
had an impact on you, whether his heart was because of the Lord or not.
that's right.
And to me, that's just really cool to see that that it just gives affirmation, I guess, to what Jesus tells us to do, and that it actually works, and the actions affect people the way that he says it's going to affect them.
Yeah.
Now, your heart, your heart behind it, that's a personal matter, right? That's a matter between you and God, but that the manner in which you respond does have effect on people. Like, I don't know, at the time, if you saw God in that moment or anything, or maybe it just shocked you, but now you're able to look back on that and see that interaction and get that out of it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it came up in this conversation.
Yeah, I would definitely say it when I talked to him, 2 or 3 days later, whatever it was, I felt humility big time for being such a jerk.
Yeah.
Somebody that was my buddy, though it was, all he did was put his finger in my face.
Yeah.
And I was a big time jerk and did something that could have potentially harmed him.
Yeah.
Out of anger, out of spite. Like that was intentional.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to point your finger at me, I'm going to bust your head.
Uh-huh.
That ain't so when he said, man, don't worry about it, I forgive you, it ain't no big deal, I felt like a piece of crap.
Yeah, exactly. That's
I mean?
like getting hit on the right cheek and turning your other cheek.
Yeah.
Then the dude's like, oh man, I feel like crap for doing that. You're not even gonna fight me back.
Yeah.
You hear the old westerns where they say, stand up and fight me like a man. Like nobody wants to fight somebody that's not doing anything back.
That's right.
Because you just feel like crap.
Right. That's right. Absolutely.
What you got on it, Chili? Was you gonna say something?
Well, I go back to what you said about you don't know. Maybe he did that out of fear because he didn't want to fight with Corn for anymore. He very well could have. I don't know.
I wouldn't want to fight him.
I mean, yeah, it may have been the motivation. I'm not saying it was, but you were basically making the point that either way, because he acted like Jesus told you to act, that good came out of it.
Right.
But you're also making the point that your heart does matter behind it.
Yeah.
And kind of the reverse of that is because I've seen these famous news clips of where, someone will have murdered somebody and they'll go to trial, and their family will be there or whatever and like say, we forgive you.
Yeah.
Well, like, I mean, what's the point in me sitting on here and pretending like I would do that? Like if somebody kills somebody in my family or y'all who are my family, I mean, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, maybe I should work on that, but like, that is not going to be my reaction. That's just being totally honest.
Yeah.
But say I managed to get on there and say exactly what they said, but in my heart the whole time, I'm hoping that dude who killed whoever just freaking dies and I can go kill him. Like, So my action would look like those same people, you know, like you would see, oh man, look, he forgave them. But in my heart, I'm sitting there going, I hope you freaking die, dude.
Yeah.
Like suffer and die forever.
Yeah.
So if that's what's in my heart, but what comes out is just for whatever reason, like you don't want to deal with it or you want to, I don't know. Some people may do it because they want to look like they forget. I don't know. Is that good? Like my heart's in there filled with hate, you know?
Well, it's not good for you, right?
Right. That's what I mean. Like that's
but
what I'm saying. So you can even outwardly forgive somebody, but if your heart's screaming,
Well, I think it's a lack of action on outward that people might perceive as forgiveness. They might think, well, Chili's not doing anything, so he must forgive that guy.
or even if you said you did,
Yeah.
but in your heart, you're still thinking like,
Yeah, I mean,
Good.
because we don't know what's in a man's heart. So I do think I do think that God can use actions with ill intentions or deceiving intentions, maybe like me saying I forgive you and I don't.
well,
But
what
it
if I'm
looks
not
like I
trying to,
did.
what if I'm not trying to deceive anybody? What if I'm just like, look, I'm supposed to forgive you. I'm going to try, you know, and I can even manage to say it, but
Yeah.
I don't. Like, is that, you know, what are you supposed to do if like your heart just, I mean, can you control that? Can you,
Well, I mean, that's the next question, right? Is can we
can that initial
can we
response?
can we have do we have the ability to forgive people? And you're essentially changing your desire, right? Because when
Yeah,
someone wrongs you,
exactly.
your desire is to give back an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, or even more. And you know, another thing is that people would ask, well, all right, if someone just goes around wronging all these people and they don't do anything about it, won't evil just abound?
Yeah.
And won't won't it just keep going? But I would say that not responding or responding good with for evil actually stops the cycle, because when you do me wrong and I do you wrong, then it makes you mad again, and then you do me wrong
Yeah.
back. But when I do good, so that's just to clear up a question, because some people and even myself would think that I've got to stop this person. They're just, this is ridiculous. But it's just a self-feeding cycle if you keep giving back. And so back to the question of can we change our own desires in order to, we know that it's right, but we can't. And that's the process that I think sometimes you just have to every day, like you have to, that part of you has to die again, right? I mean, because forgiveness, um, when we feel wronged, then that's still because we're clinging on to these parts of ourself, right?
Yeah.
If you reckon yourself dead, then they haven't done anything wrong to you, because you don't matter, and nothing that you have matters. Your family doesn't matter. All that matters is God. And so you might would say righteous anger at that time, sinning against God. But no, I don't think that we can change that apart from God. I don't think that you could do that under your own will, and say, I know this is right and what I need to do, so I need to do it. And anytime that I've ever been able to forgive somebody where I truly felt wrong, I'm not talking about like someone cut you off in traffic and you're ticked about it and you're like, I forgive him. I'm talking about like someone actually wronging you, stealing from you, hurting you, causing you problems, costing you things. That's what I'm talking about. And I don't think you can do that apart from God. I think that takes prayer, and the way that we change our heart is by reading his scripture, and what you take in is what you put out. And so I think you have to get it, as much of the word in you during those times. And that has to be what your constant thought is, because the minute you start letting that stuff slip out and you're letting all these other songs and other people's opinions of, yeah, you need to get them back, and you start letting those things in, then you say, you know what, today I'm going to get that joker back. And so the point that it's forgiveness and it's like written on, like you don't struggle with that anymore. I guess that could be a question, is what is the point that you've forgiven someone? But I think that that's like for a serious wrongdoing, that could take, you might have to do that every day or multiple times a day, because that thought creeps in and you have to say, no, I'm going to choose forgiveness because that's what God said is good and right. And I can only do that through you. And those are the times that you're just going to be in prayer a lot more than you are when you're not dealing with those things.
Yeah. And in the world, the, you know, what I was thinking about when you was talking about, Chili, if somebody was harmed in your family is, remember the video of the guy, I can't remember where it's at, but his son was kidnapped by this dude and molested for however many days. I can't remember if the young boy was killed or whatever, but his dad's on the telephone,
Yeah.
an old payphone with his buddy, and the dude walks by. It's all on camera. And he's like, here he is. And he sets the phone down and he shoots the guy in the head.
Yep.
Like, people think that's awesome and cool. I've watched it and say, dang, that dude got that guy that hurt his son.
We like to see people get
good
what they
for
deserve.
him. You know what I mean? Good for him. But that's totally the opposite of
Yeah.
what Jesus is saying. Killdozer, I could sit here and stare at a picture of the killdozer all day long. But dude didn't have no forgiveness in him. He tore a whole city up. He was so angry and unforgiving. I love the story of the killdozer, but it's completely the opposite of what Jesus. I mean, this dude had he had malicious intent behind his unforgiveness 100%.
Would you say unforgiveness would stem a lot from selfishness? Like, not selfishness and that's mine and I want to keep it, but selfishness is the opposite of selflessness, right?
Right.
Like, do you think that it is tied to that at all?
I don't know.
Because as we talk, you think if you are reckoning yourself dead, and then why do you think you or do any sort of
You know what else it could be?
justice?
What else it could be is something that it sounds seemingly good on the surface, but then if you dig deeper, may go back to selfishness. I don't know, but I think because honestly, when someone's harmed a child like that, it wasn't my child.
Yeah.
So I totally get his dad wanting to kill that dude.
Yeah.
But quite honestly, like, do I have the same feeling as strong as the dad does? No. But I even have that feeling too. Like, I hope that dude freaking dies.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I'll kill him. Like,
yeah.
That's the scum of the earth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think initially that may be partially just like a despising evil.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, so that sounds good. Oh, you despise evil. Well, but what it reveals to get angry and not forgive that in others, like, am I not evil?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, I'm sorry, man. Nobody likes this discussion because everyone wants to go, well, I would never hurt a child, so I hate that evil. And that, yeah, I am, I do hate that. And I do feel kind of like righteous about that. Like, I'm not that bad. It's like, I think we really, really downplay the evil that exists within us and overplay it in others. Because we're like, man, I would never do. Well, look, man, you don't get to be, well, you can if you choose to, but you don't, you're not righteous in the fact of looking at what the good things that you have done and all the things in your life that you haven't done. Like, well, I haven't killed somebody or hurt a child or done this. It's like, you're not righteous because you have never hurt a child.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. You're not, you can't count that as, whenever you start thinking about what actually exists within you and what you're actually capable of as a sinful human, literally all of us. Because the same thing that's caused your sin in your heart is the same thing that caused the dude to hurt the child. Like, it is the same.
Yeah.
Right.
And once you realize that, to me, that helped me understand more when it talks about, our best is like filthy rags. Because like you read that and you understand it. The point is we're not good at it. We're not whatever. But you think of it in these terms and you're like, no, the evil that exists within me is the same evil that was in, Hitler,
right,
and Stalin and these people who have hurt hundreds and thousands of children.
And that'll make some people mad. They'll disagree with you on that.
Oh, 100% they will.
They'll say, no, sir.
Yeah. They're like,
No,
nope, sorry. I ain't it.
Yeah.
It's in me.
Yeah.
guess what? It is in me. And that don't mean I'm ever going to hurt it. Like, good God, no. But you're missing the point
Right.
of the evil that actually dwells within you.
Well,
It is the same.
Yeah. But the difference is that you also have the Holy Spirit in you that overcomes
Right.
evil. And that's how we're
Right.
not able to fulfill all
Yeah.
of the evil desires or thoughts. And that becomes progressive, right? That
Yeah.
gets worse and worse and worse and worse the more you act on it. So yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, like that's really a horrible thing to think about, but I think it's like what makes you so angry about that. I don't know. Maybe it is partially selfishness, but I just go back to no, I don't like that because I hate evil. That
Yeah.
disgusts me. But I think what allows you to feel that way and also not forgive them and not is a complete refusal to admit that that's in you, buddy.
Mhm.
Or it's in me. I mean,
Well,
but my view is that it is in all of us. And like we talked about earlier, Blake, are we even capable of not sinning?
right. No,
I don't think so either.
no,
I mean,
no.
I think we're born into a fallen state.
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting along those lines. Paul says, inspired by the Holy Spirit in Romans 12, that I read earlier, 21, it says, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good, which would basically mean that he's saying when we try to respond and repay what we feel is just, that is being overcome by evil, right? Because in all of this, he's saying, if your enemy's hungry, feed him. If he's thirsty, give him a drink. And in doing so, you'll heap burning coals on his head. But it says in 21, do not be overcome by evil. So he's essentially saying that when you do those things, you will be overcome by evil because we have these emotions, right, that come along with when we are wronged. And when we want to respond in those emotions to repay what was done to us, then we're being overcome with evil. And the warning here is that that's bad. Like Chili said, that's in us. And the more you act on that, the worse it's going to get. And you can't just go around dealing out all of this justice, because who are you to deal out justice when, just like Chili said, you're just as evil as anyone else. And I think that when you realize that, that is one of the key things to help you forgive other people. When you say, man, I know what that guy did was wrong to me, but who am I to have received this forgiveness from God? Look at all the evil that I've done.
Yeah.
And who am I to forgive this, to get this forgiveness from God? And then he takes it a step further, always. And he says, don't just forgive them, but he says, if they're hungry, then feed them. If they're thirsty, then give them water. Pray for our enemies, we see in the Bible. Jesus even says, if you're bringing a gift to the altar and you have a problem with the brother, then don't even worry about the gift at the altar. Go settle your wrongs with him. That's how important it is. And he says to pray for our enemies. And essentially, whatever, maybe not become best friends, but like you praying for people, you're not praying that they get what they deserve. You're praying that they get better. And he's always taking it a step further. And so he says, what good is it for you if you love the ones who love you? Don't even the tax collectors do that? What is it to you if you greet the ones who greet you? And so I think that is where love and peace and forgiveness start. But he takes it far further than that and says the real thing is forgiving those that are actually doing you wrong and want evil for you, not just by accident, like you were talking about.
Right.
And so it runs really, really deep, and it's a really hard thing to do, to fight against that feeling. And that's why I think it has a little bit to do with selflessness, because that is what you want to do, but that part of you has to die. And you have to understand that you are not you're not, entitled or do any sort of thing. If anything, you should be receiving more punishment and wrongdoing than you're getting right now
Yeah.
because of who you've been your whole life. Whether you've been living as the Pope in the Catholic Church or a pastor of a modern day church or whatever you're doing that you think so good, it don't add up to nothing. And when you see other people, you listening to this and watching this, you have ultimate value, but not because of anything that you've done, the amount of money that you have, the amount of likes or subscribers that you have. You have ultimate value because you were created in the likeness and image of God. And I said on Resurrected, there's nothing that you can do to add to that or subtract from that, right? God created corn just like he created the worst person you can think of in the likeness and image of him. And when you see that in people and see that in yourself, that also helps to be able to forgive people. And again, people, you can take this, you can make exceptions for things. You can say, well, what about wars? What about the military? What about, this? I'm talking about our community here, our friends, our people that we interact with. Those things, I think it does still apply to a lot of those things, but I do think like military, like we talked about police earlier, there are always exceptions, and I always feel the need to give this disclaimer because of all the idiots out there that want to try to say you're wrong for saying this because what about this? And that's just ridiculous. But I want to point the fact out that that is not what we're talking about here, although I do think that it applies in many of those situations. And so it's hard to see that value in people, though, especially people that do you wrong, that they're valuable just because God created them just like you. And that's important that we know that about ourselves, too, because we can get down on ourselves or we can get high on ourselves and say, boy, Blake, you're doing good.
Mm-hmm.
You mean you told that guy you'd give him more money after he stole from you?
Yeah.
You're doing good.
Yeah. Well, somebody could get caught up in the weeds too and say, well, I'm just going to fight this by making this person feel bad and show false humility. Oh man, you did me so awful. And look at me. I'm just struggling like a dog now, man. And try to make the dude feel bad.
Yep.
But back to what you were saying just before that, you're not talking about someone who is currently in the process trying to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Not saying lay down for it. Say, hey, bud, you want me to go get you a McDonald's real quick before you stab me to death? No, it's not saying that, but yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't get confused with this and think if someone is trying to kill you or your family, that you should just let it happen. No, not at all.
Well, maybe this is reversing back a little bit, but I just thought of, it's based around pride, maybe selfishness too, but that comes from pride. But a good test for this that I've had to run myself through, and I fail it every time, but that's all right. But the good test I've found is watch a video online of someone, there's all kinds of videos you can watch, that horrible news stories, like someone just walked up and just sucker punched an old lady or something, like you see it all the time. Like that probably makes most people mad. All right. Well, you know why it makes you mad is because you despise evil, like we talked about. But it makes you mad because it's evil and you don't like that, and you haven't done that. Go watch a video of somebody lying to somebody, something that you've done.
Yeah.
See how mad you get.
Right.
You don't really get that mad. Yeah. It's always mad when it's something that's like, well, man, I'm not that evil.
Yeah.
Or I've never done anything that bad. Go watch the things you've done. Say you've done something bad. Say you watch the, old lady getting sucker punched, and that makes you mad. But then you watch a husband beating his wife and you go, well, I did do that, and that don't make me too mad. Like, I get that. Like, that's what we do. If it's something that we've done that is just as evil, we don't really have the same reaction.
Yeah.
That's a good test for me, because I go, man, that is me totally putting myself on a pedestal to even get mad at that.
Yeah.
In the way that I get mad, because it's like, well, wouldn't do that. That's evil that I'm not even. No.
No, you're right. Yeah, I mean, you it's like a holier than thou
Yep.
kind of mentality. Like,
Yep.
yeah, there's no, I wouldn't do that. So I don't have to worry about people trying to get back at me for that because
Yeah.
I don't do that. But boy, we're gonna get him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Chili.
Yep. Well, that's all I had on forgiveness, but that had been on my mind for a couple of weeks now, and just kind of that was the progression of it, was seeing that guy, and then you know checking my own heart and my response to that, and was my response for them that I want them to be forgiven, and that I want them to recognize what they're doing is wrong. And then I, began down the path of forgiveness itself, and many things that I've been studying lately, I've just dealt with that. And so I appreciate y'all chiming in and sharing your thoughts on that.
That was good, man.
I want to open a couple boxes we got in the mail. Then I want to hit our Patreon question.
All right, let's do it.
So
Bust them off.
we got a couple boxes here.
Let's do it, Bubba.
This one's to me, Chad Wright. 1 second, let me grab a knife.
You should have had that knife ready.
Well, if the stinking tech guy would do his job, retard.
Shirt feels like a turtle shell, Bubba.
Oh yeah, we got a good clip coming for y'all. Corn shotgun and some protein.
Yeah, I don't think.
Tech guy, you didn't clear this package? No, I didn't. What the crap, man?
Yeah, what tier you want to put that out on Patreon? That video, you Corn. I mean, that's serious.
I think this is gonna be some gold. This is from Lane Veld.
Some
Man,
gold.
Veiled.
I think it's gold.
Where's he hail from?
Canada
Canada.
originally.
The
Oh,
Canucks send a good,
Oh, man.
good bunch, don't they? Is it really gold?
Raw Canadian gold.
Good
Whoa,
Lord, it is
son.
gold.
Good night. Thank you, Lane. What's got a new book here too? Precious Remedies Against Satan's Devices.
Holy crow!
Little note,
A
I'll
book.
leave that.
Allow the front of the jug for the folks can see it.
All you need to know is that that's raw Canadian gold.
Dang,
That might be syrup.
No, that's solid gold in there, liquid gold.
it might be what?
Syrup. Syrup.
I'll read that letter later, Lane. I appreciate you sending
Who's
that.
Sarah?
Well,
Syrup.
we're gonna see Lane on the basic course, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
My waffle.
ROP team 7.
Is it ROP or basic course? What do you?
Well, he
what-
did the ROP course. You
Yeah.
remember, but
Oh yeah.
the
Yeah.
next year's basic.
That's
yeah.
right. All right, we got another package here from Dan Aiello.
Show them what it looks like, the package.
So I got to make sure I
It's a
hide his
weird-
address.
I think
Make-
it's a
let you
drone.
guys know we'll protect your
That's
privacy.
Yeah.
Should you choose to
That's-
send something.
That's a baby drone.
If somebody wants to send us something, Chili, where could they send it to?
PO Box 454, Rome, Georgia 30162. 3 of 7 project.
And look, we take all kinds, guys. We'll take you hate mail. If you mad about something we said, that's all right, Bubba.
Lane's awesome, man. Send that
Yeah.
real Canadian gold too. The heck, man.
That's a baby attack drone right there.
Somebody said Canadian wood sugar.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Was he Lane was ROP team 7 and Dan's ROP team 8? I get the numbers mixed up.
All right, this is from Dan. Looks like he got some.
I hope it's a map.
A map of
posters
what?
here.
Oh, it's probably a map of where you got us lost,
Oh,
Bubba.
this is nice right here. Look at this.
Oh, that is nice.
Oh, that's a print of team 8.
Check that out.
Oh, that's big right there.
That's real big. That's a print of team
That's
8.
sweet right there.
You ain't thick necking in that picture, Chili. Have you
Dude.
quit thick necking?
I look like
That's bad to the bone.
You
right
was
there.
bigger right there.
He
You was
said,
bigger.
huh?
You
he
was
sent
bigger.
two
I
of
look
them.
like an idiot in that.
He sent 2 of them. He said he wants us to sign one and the other for Sean. So he didn't even give us one, I don't think. Dang, Dan, I was wanting to keep that.
Good night, Dan.
He's wanting to put it up in his house. So
Why didn't you sign one and send it to us?
That's all right.
Rop All Star.
Yep. That's all right. That's a nice picture. We'll We'll get them signed and get them back to you, Dan.
Wonder what they think of Rop All Stars.
I'll read that note more too. He
gonna be
might be
big.
giving us one. I don't know.
It's gonna be big, ain't it?
I'll read it right
it's
now.
gonna be real big.
Yeah. Well, no, we'll do that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That's
So-
a nice print.
Yeah. You guys, if you want to send us something, Chili ain't saying you got to, but he's saying if you want to, that's the address to send it to. So I want to hit a Patreon question here. We have a Patreon. If you guys don't know about it, one thing that we do, well, we talked about Resurrected on this message that I'd shared on there. So one thing we do for the people there on Patreon is a Bible-based message 3 Sundays a month called Resurrected. Chad and I teach on there. Cornbread. If you guys want to hear from Cornbread, then go sign up and tune in this Sunday because he's going to be teaching, and it's going to be big.
Woo.
Chili, you going to be on there this Sunday?
Live?
Chili's got a special project he's doing this weekend. Remember?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that mission.
I'm on a
Good way to be an individual, Chili, and go do
Yeah.
your own thing, Bubba.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm on an assault. I'm on an assault mission. That look, me and Chad and Chili do it.
Yeah.
Chad and Chili do it. Chad.
So
and
that's
Chili
one
do
thing we do.
It. Chad and Chili do it. Blake and Corn sit at home with the rear in
with
the
the
gear.
gear.
Chad and Chili do it.
Another thing we do is we take questions from our people there on Patreon. You send them in, and Cornbread goes through them, finds good questions, and we talk about them here on the podcast. So the one that he's got for us today is from our brother Noah Stagg.
Oh yeah,
Noah's a good one. What's he done? The basic course, the ROP,
proving ground.
Proving Ground.
Yeah,
He's got to get on that advanced mission. He
Oh,
got to
yeah.
get on that
Um,
Alpine or that advanced ROP.
Rob All Stars.
Yep. So
wait, whoa! Rop All Stars.
Shh, not right now.
his question is this. Well, it's not really a question. It's a statement that something he wants us to talk about. He says, "Speak on controlling your emotions, specifically doubt and self-pity." So, what you think, CB?
Oh,
Controlling your emotions, doubt, and self-pity. We
so-
talked a little bit about controlling your emotions already today,
Yeah.
and
right.
light of forgiveness and our desire to repay
Right.
what we feel's due.
Yeah. So when I think about doubt, what initially comes to my mind here of the recent was coming to work here from my previous job. I had a bunch of doubt whether or not I was going to be able to physically perform as expected. The things
Yeah,
even as simple as team PT on Wednesday.
yeah,
The doubt that I had there, or that I was going to be able to articulate. Chad articulates really, really well,
Yeah.
and people flock to that. So I had to learn, and it wasn't me that realized this. Somehow it just happened that we're all different in and of a sense, and I'm here to be able to do what I can do to the best of my ability, physically, mentally, and spiritually, and to grow every day. When I first come here, you told me, if we're not working one day, we're still doing something to better ourselves for our family, our friends, and the people that we serve.
Yeah.
And getting in that habit, I think, sort of eliminated a lot of that doubt. I've said it before on the podcast. I'll never forget it. I can picture it perfect as day when we went to First Form. Seeing that arch. I mean, that whole trip to Missouri, I was like, dude, you're not even supposed to be here. Like, I just doubted the whole thing. Like, what am I doing, man? You're a freaking hog. You're in here with these fit people at First Form. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, what are you even doing? But being uncomfortable, doubting, but still doing it, it just sort of just goes away, man.
Yeah.
It just sort of eliminates itself,
yeah,
or it has in
Yeah.
those instances. Self-pity, man, I don't want to seem righteous, but I can't really say that I've experienced self-pity much.
Yeah.
Like
like feeling sorry for yourself kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it has came like, but maybe it was just whimsical.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And maybe that doubt is from some type of self pity. You know what I mean? Like, dude, you're way out of shape, man. You're just sad sacking because you're a hog.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the doubt was formed from self pity. I'm not saying I've never experienced it. I just can't think of any particular time in my head where I had,
Right. Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
But my suggestion is controlling doubt is do what you're doubting.
Yeah.
Like whatever you're doubting, do it and keep plugging away at it.
Yeah. I think an important thing too about doubt is like, because if you doubt some things, it's good that you doubt it. Like
Yeah.
right now, if you were going to go run 100 miles, you would probably have doubt that you wouldn't finish it.
Yeah.
And you're probably right. You hadn't been training for running. And so that doubt, can be a good thing sometimes because it keeps us from doing things that we shouldn't or that could be harmful to us. But if you're just doubting things um, that aren't really realistic, like, then I think you're right. Just do it anyways. Like, I think the question you should ask is, am I doing what I should be doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, should you be running 100 miles right now? No. Like, it's okay, but it would be okay to be training for it. But
Right.
should you do it tomorrow? No. And should you be working for 307 and being on the team here? Yeah. You have lived your life up to the point that you came on the team in a manner that's consistent with what you want to be and who and what we represent here. So just because you're not to the point you want to be yet doesn't mean that you can't step into the role. And so I do think that I think that's great advice. Yeah. What do you think, Chili?
Well, he asked about specifically controlling self doubt and self pity.
Yeah,
Is that
I think he just said he said speak on controlling your emotions, specifically doubt and self pity. So
So the emotion of self doubt and self pity, the emotion involved with it. Well, I've thought a lot about this. Don't have much to say, really, or much good to say, but sure have thought a lot about it. I'm not entirely sure that you can control your emotions. Like that phrase is used a lot.
Yeah.
I think you control how you react to your emotions, which is a important distinction. I just don't think I buy that you can somehow do something to control self-doubt never coming into your head or never feeling that.
Yeah.
Whatever feeling that means. But I don't think you can control that. But I definitely think you have, if you have control over anything, you have more control over how you then react and respond and what you do with and how you act given that feeling of self-doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a more appropriate way to think about it. However, I still think you run into the problem of, can you control, like, to what extent can you control how you even react to it? But I definitely think if you have any, you have more over that. And how you deal with self-doubt and self-pity, well, those are two different things. But I think self-doubt sometimes is misunderstood or confused with just accurately assessing yourself, which Blake kind of hit on. If my goal was, if someone said, "Hey, go run a 2-hour marathon," I mean, is that self-doubt or me saying that that's not possible, or just the truth?
Yeah.
Like, I guess it's both. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's a different category when it's like, well, that's just flat out impossible for me to do.
Right.
I'm not doubting myself. I mean, I think Corn's example is great of self-doubt because that wasn't true what he was doubting. Like that you didn't belong with us or belong at First Form. Like that was not true, but it did come into your head and you did feel like, oh man, maybe I don't belong here. Like, so that's a real feeling that happened. It wasn't true. but it affected you, and then you had no control over that coming into your head, but you did have control over what you did with it, and what you did with it was do it anyway.
Yeah.
Now, how do you tell someone that's having a hard time doing it anyway because of self-doubt to just do it? Like, how did you just do it?
Well, I think mainly because of my relationship with Blake and Chad, you know, it meant a lot that they called and asked me to come work, family, friends, to come work with them. And I realized early on that even in the moment, sometime that doubt was coming because of comparison, because I was comparing myself to Chili's physical fitness, or I was comparing myself to Blake's spiritual steadiness, or I was comparing myself to Chad's toughness, so on and so forth. And once I would realize that, and you know, I might not have said it a while ago, you know, my race doesn't have to be Chili's race or Blake's race,
Yeah.
whatever it may be, not, you know, even specifically talking about an actual race, but I don't know, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I honestly do not know. I do not. It's different when it's, I guess it would be different when it's an employment based thing, you know, like when
Yeah.
we was going to do the workout at First Form.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that workout.
Yeah.
Now, y'all both know that I put on my workout clothes that morning, and in case Chad said we're going to do it, I did not want to do it at all. And
I didn't do it.
yeah, Chili didn't do it. He was fur coated up the whole
I didn't
time.
want to do it either. I'd changed last minute.
Yeah, and I remember I asked Chad on the way over there. I said, "Am I doing the workout, or what do you want me to do? I'll do it if you want me to." And he said, "Yeah, I want you to do it."
Yeah.
I thought, good night. And then of course I walked in there after he done said, "I want you to do it." Then there wasn't nothing else to do
Yeah.
but to do it.
Right.
You know, so a lot of times you're in a position where you just have to.
Yeah.
Anyhow, and I think that's good to put yourself in that position of just have to, under the reality checks, of course, that y'all both made. You know, there's going to be some things you just shouldn't be doing anyhow.
Yeah.
That, you know, but for me, I think realizing why you have that self-doubt, whether it's a derivative of self-pity or whether you are doing something actually that's causing it. And I realized pretty quick that mine was from comparison.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, you know, like a team can help with that. Like, depending on what the situation is, it's hard to say, but like, you know, like even hosting the podcast today, it's like I come in here and it's like, well, I don't usually do this. We don't usually do this without Chad.
Right.
Can we provide value? And so my point is like, do you ask yourself logical questions? Have I done this before? Yes.
Yeah.
Can we provide value? Yes. Is it going to be the same without Chad? No. And it's just like he's not here, so it's not the same. And so, you know, in a physical competition or in something like this, whether it's just in life, a conversation you got to have, and your doubt is whether you can do it or not. Like, you ask yourself the questions, have I prepared for this? Have I put in the work? And so there is logical answers to those questions. Have I prepared for this? No. Have I ever done this before? No. Can I still do it? Depending on what it is, maybe, maybe not. And if the answer is maybe not, and it's because of those logical questions, it's not really doubt. It's just like, well, it's probably not a good idea.
It's
but
like fear too, isn't it?
it's like you're coming to the ROP. Okay, here's an example. You're coming to the ROP and you don't really know what to expect. You know, it's a 24-hour hike. So you've been hiking, rucking, eating. You've done all that you know you can do. And you show up and you say, man, I don't think I can do this. And you don't know any more about it than when you signed up and when you trained. So then you ask yourself, well, did I do all that I could do? Yeah. Okay. So you might still not do it, but you've done everything you can do. So just go do it and you'll be a better person because of it. You'll learn more about it. And so that's totally been, I mean, like for me with speaking, not that I public speak, but speaking like on the podcast, teaching Resurrected, speaking at the courses at the beginning, I was like, I don't have any credibility. There's no reason anybody should listen to me. I haven't spoke before, taught before. And so I had doubt, like, what am I even doing here? You know,
Yeah.
like, yeah, me and Chad, we started this company. And so that's the only credibility I have. I've never owned a business before. And so like the doubt that you have that you think that you're not capable, I think Corn gave probably the best advice is if you are doing what you feel like the Lord is telling you to do, it doesn't matter whether you feel qualified or not, or prepared or not. If you are walking in what it is He wants you to do, and there's like obviously things you have to go through to make sure that is the case, and different things like that. But if you answer yes to those questions, it doesn't matter if you have doubt or not. You just do it because that's what you feel like you should be doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then there are some things you shouldn't be doing that you doubt for good reason, right? So God also gives us, I mean, like, I think that's like discernment, basically. Should I be doing this or not? And
I think it's like what Chili said too. It's fear. It's fear of failing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
fear and fear of what's going to happen when you fail.
Right. Which is,
Right.
you know what's so interesting about that to me? That's the opposite of what me and you was talking about the other day. That some people that I've noticed, I haven't done it myself, sign up for some stuff because they have absolutely no fear. They're wanting something to sneak up and punch them in the mouth
yeah.
just out of the blue. You know, it's the teetotal opposite of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll show up for something unprepared because they want to be surprised and have to react or
So,
something.
sometimes you're going to fail.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to hear, dude, you suck. You know what
And
I mean?
I would tell you that if you can live in that, you won't feel like you're doing as good, but you will be far better than you would be if you show up for everything and you're like, got that done, knocked that out of the park, boom, another one done, another one done. But when you show up for stuff and you just keep on, Corn, you said, I've been playing catch up all my life. Everything I do, I feel like I'm having to catch up. Well, think about if you were doing things that you were the best at and you were on top, you wouldn't be the cornbread you are today.
Yeah.
And so showing up for things with a little bit of doubt, I think is good. When I ran the 100-mile race, I mean, I had a daggone cold, hacking up crap. Yeah. I'd been sick for a week. I was still hacking up crap and wheezing at the start of the race. And I had doubt then. And I said, I don't know. I don't know if I can do this or not, but I know that I've trained and I know that I can run 1 mile. So I just got on the line and I said, I'm just going to run 1 mile. And I thought, I feel all right. I'm going to run another one. And it worked out. But had I been a different person or not prepared in the way I should have or not have lived the life that I lived, then I probably would have said that this is not the best time for me to do this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it another time. So I think it all goes back. I mean, I think what Corn said was great, that you just do it anyway. If you've prepared and it's what you've committed to, that's another big thing, is like commitment. If those things are there, then I think you do it anyways.
Yeah.
I'm just going to bring up the point before we move on that I still can't ever work out in my head the best answer but really define it well. How do you just do things when you just need to do it? You know, when you get rid of the self-doubt and the fear or deal with it, like you can't, I don't think you can control it, but when you're controlling your reaction to it, how do you just do it? Like, what is the how? And I think for me, I think it may look different for some people, but I think what Blake started going down with asking yourself the questions, I mean, it's a logical problem. You're in your head going, I may not can do this. And if I can't do this, blank will happen. Like this bad thing will happen. Right? Like I'm afraid of the result. Am I going to, even just, I'm afraid of someone thinking something of me or making fun of me. Like I'm afraid of this. So then you have to ask yourself, well, one is this thing worth it to you? You know, it really is. It comes down to if you're going to let self-doubt win on how valuable the thing is to you. Mm-hmm. And once again, I don't know how you make something more valuable to yourself than it already is just by willing that to happen. But I think you have to ask yourself questions about, like, you know, what does people always say, know your why when you're going on the rock course? I mean, that's kind of what it falls back to. Because like, why does everybody say know your why for doing something or doing the rock course? because you're going to start doubting yourself either before it starts or 70% through it or whatever. And then you're going to fall back to what actually matters to you.
Yeah.
So,
Well, let me say about 20% of those whys on the ROP course are a bunch of crap. Most people want to do it because it's cool or because they think it's going to be hard. Because, I know that when they get out there and I see how they act. And then some people share some good whys and they say, well, I can't just say I want to do this because I think it's cool. And so if you come and do the ROP course, really think about why you want to do it. I mean, that's just advice for ahead of time to maybe help fight off some of this doubt, that we're talking about. And it's a good question you ask about, like, how do you just do the thing?
Yeah.
But, I think without belaboring the point, I just think that if I think back on those times, I will just get as close as I can get to I'm like, all right, well, I can at least go step on the start line. So let me get to the start line and I'm still doubting. And then I'm like, well, let me run this little bit. And then I'm still doubting. And then eventually you're like a mile from the finish line and you might even still be doubting, but you've almost done the whole race. So it goes back to what we teach of breaking things down into small.
Well, I mean, I think this really is the answer for how you control your emotions or your reactions to them, because you literally finished that race because it mattered to you on what you did that day.
Yeah.
Like, it mattered to you.
Right.
I know it did.
Yeah.
And people that say, man, I don't think like that, or I don't think analytically or logically, like or not everybody thinks like you, or not everybody thinks like you, Chili, or whatever. Well, I agree. But if you're asking the question of how you deal with your emotions of self-doubt and self-pity, you think to some degree.
Yeah.
And you think about those things and you're analyzing it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so do that to yourself. Analyze why it matters to you. And if you truly come up with the answer of it does not matter, well, then you've got something to work with or work on. But like to Blake, he talked about feeling self-doubt on the starting line of that 100, but he finished that thing because it freaking mattered to him.
Yeah.
Like, that's how he dealt with self-doubt. The thing he was doing mattered. And I'm not going to say it was easy to deal with it at that point, but because it got hard didn't matter.
Right. It's just the fact that you are dealing with it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, that's a good question, Noah. Thanks for asking that, brother, and
Noah Stagg
supporting us all this time. We got some super chats, Chili.
Oh yeah, you got to monitor the ones that come in after this. But hold on, check this out.
What, you want me to read them?
Yeah, I want Tech Guy to read them.
Yeah, all right. Tech Guy, read these.
Okay.
Got one job.
I listen to the podcast this is Tara Rowland, $10, first super chat. Thank you, Tara. I listen to the podcast every week, but never catch it live. Just wanted to say, hey, from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I appreciate y'all giving your thoughts and wisdom to all of us. Love you guys. Chad Chili, 24.
Chad Chili, 24.
That's right,
Tara.
That's right.
Chili Jr., $4.99. Anyone else notice how much more coordinated this podcast is without Chad? Boy, he ain't never liked Chad, has he?
No.
Ever since he was born.
His godfather.
We got Gatekeeper Radio 347, $9.99. I wasn't mad the other day when Chili put the radio check on me, but it spurred me on to do good works. I like sharing my playlist on YouTube.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Gatekeeper.
Gatekeeper.
T. Russell, $20. I think y'all are doing a great job with everything while Chad is out riding his bike. Blake, you do a spectacular job on Resurrected. It's easy to understand your teaching. Love you all. Thanks, T. Russell.
Thank you. I think that's Tom, right?
Is his last name Russell?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Tom.
Yep. I remember Tom.
You remember Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was cool what Tom shared on Resurrected, I thought, last
yeah.
Sunday.
Tom's a good one.
Yeah, he is, man. Tom's awesome.
Manfred Kampf, $20.
Canadian.
Thank you, Manfred. Gatekeeper Radio 347, $1.99. The only good replacement for the word sin is self.
All right.
Thank you, Gatekeeper.
Thank you, Gatekeeper.
Little Virgil. Got an
yeah.
emoji of look like a fox with one of them sticks and people direct music with.
Yep. I knew it was going to be that.
I know you said that. You said, I bet he's going to put that one on there.
That's right.
$4.99. Thanks, LV.
I knew it.
Deplorable Lawn Guy, $92. $1.99. In honor of Chad being out, here's $1.99.
There you go.
Well, thank you.
Here we go with Marty Bingham's string of super chats.
Overall, Marty.
$9.99. Number one, my comments came out in reverse order last time, so they made even less sense than usual. So I'm going to number them this time. So that's number one.
I mean, how's that even possible, Marty?
Cape Town, VA, $37. Excellent resurrected this Sunday. Praise the Lord. The message is reaching YouTube today. Number two, opinion on Duke's mayonnaise. Good or not good? Oh,
No.
good or not good?
No, it ain't now count.
Good.
You like Dukes?
Yeah, man.
I've
No.
seen Chili drink mayonnaise through a straw.
Well,
He loves that Duke's.
Wow,
So Cape
Bubba.
Town, get it, son. We got Marty Bingham, $9.99. I have a serious question about the upcoming ROP course. I haven't decided if I'm going to mess with Chad and get him tore up or try to get a chuckle out of him.
well, what's your question, Marty?
He's wanting to know which one he should do.
Look, Marty, just worry about the rock course. Don't worry about Chad, Bubba. Just worry about the rock course.
I think he will figure out what he wants to do when he's out there. I think that's good advice, Marty.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
go with it. You know, if you want to mess with, he loves to be messed with. So just mess with him. That ain't no big deal, Bubba.
Just worry about the rock course, Marty.
We had Manfred Kumpf, $10. A well-run, managed team and business can be led, carry on, and operated seamlessly by any member. Great job. Thanks, Manfred.
Thank you, Manfred.
Marty Bingham, $9.99. Number three. Either way, do I need to bring a stack of 10 and 20s for comments like we do here, or are wisecracks covered in the cost of admission?
Just worry about the rock course, Marty.
Yeah, Marty, you can, you know what? Ask all the comments you want. Make all the comments you want. Ask all the questions. But yep, it's a 10 stack for each one.
Yep. T. Russell, $20. Doubt and self-pity are seeds the devil gives you. What you do with it is up to you.
There you go.
Thank you, Tom.
Marty Bingham, $9.99. Number two. You done did that one.
I thought you did number 3.
No,
dude.
he'd put it again.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Marty. We got it the first time, but we appreciate that extra 10 stack.
He really did do it again.
Garrick 11, $19.99.
Go ahead.
Thank you for the podcast. Love you all. Praise the Lord.
Thank you, Garrett.
Thank you, Garrett. Hat to the side.
That's looking good.
Keeping it crisp.
Like Duke mayonnaise on your head.
Keeping it crisp.
All right, let's see. We had a couple more come in after this one.
Oh, yeah.
We got Justin Milford, $10.
10 man.
10, man.
King
Y'all
of
go
Yona.
get registered for this awesome gathering that is the 3 of 7 trail race. The value added to your life will stay with you for life. Sell it out. We're going to do something. Love y'all and God bless.
There you go. Speaking of a ROP all-star.
Oh, yeah.
10 man. The king of Yona. The king of Mount Yona.
And the last one, Clayton Lindsay,
Uh-oh.
$1.99.
Soldier.
Keep after that swimming, Corn.
There you go.
You ain't been doing that swimming.
No.
I ain't been hitting on now swimming.
Look, man, how are we supposed to work on everything at once?
That's
Swimming,
what I'm saying.
swimming, shooting, tactical games.
Tactical
I mean, how?
A possible bike race.
Yeah,
a
come
Are
on.
you
paddle
having some
trip,
doubt, Bubba?
a possible bike race in February.
I'm feeling sorry about it.
2 more rock courses coming up.
Ah, jeez.
I mean, good
Boy,
night.
Chad would be pulling his hair out if he was here with all that stuff y'all are listing.
Yeah, for real. It's time for him to come back. Now, this is when y'all go buy some of these air fresheners. We need gas money for Chad to
We're
get
going to go
back.
pick him up.
We are sick and tired of doing these truck talks.
By the way, go. What, man? What?
You know,
Go
if you watch one of our truck talks, mine, Corn's, Chili's, and you don't like it, unsubscribe from the daggone channel. We don't give a crap, do we, Chili? Unsubscribe if you don't like it.
Go collect corns and unsubscribe. Jeez. By the way, maybe we shouldn't, but I figure we'll give an update on Chad. He is almost done with this bicycling adventure.
150 miles in, ain't he?
Yeah, well, is that what he is now or what he got to last night?
Well, that might be 160 in.
Okay, I
I
think.
think 464 when I looked this morning.
What are you talking about?
You must be looking at somebody else.
No, said he was at mile 464
No,
They were
it's
doing
like-
like 10 miles a day.
It's like 163.
that he's got left.
No, that he's done.
Oh, he's done way more than that. Y'all are being silly. Y'all are being silly.
Corn.
He's done 464 miles.
Corn.
Yeah.
he was coming up on Leadville or something, I think.
Yeah. Like
Mm-mm.
165.
Listen, guys, I don't know what these two are doing.
Denver to Durango. All right.
Yeah. Lord willing, Chad will be back next Wednesday.
Yep.
And
Well,
things will be back to you. I'm sure you have plenty of stories to tell us and things to talk about. So we appreciate y'all tuning in. We appreciate all y'all's support. We'll see you again next week. Adios.